So here we are. Thank you for all of you joining on my Facebook page, the Killing the Breeze Facebook page, the Killing the Breeze LinkedIn, my LinkedIn, Twitch, and the YouTube channel. This is the Brothers and Sisters podcast for September 28th, 2021. Yeah, that's the year that we're in. I'm Quasi France. We've actually had a change. We should pour a little liquor out for yet another. We lost a second Nicole. We lost two Nicoles from the show. It's tough. We lost two Nicoles and a Lindsay. But like it's actually, as I was saying it when I create our new listserv, it's kind of sort of even better. I was thinking about calling it like two dudes, the sisters and their trainer, but like I felt like it was too long. So I feel like just for branding purposes also, we've been the brothers and sisters for some time now.
Yeah, don't put too much thought in that. Let's leave it alone.
We've been the brothers and sisters for too long now, since January. So we'll just keep it as is. I'm coming from Baltimore. You guys want to go around?
Coming in from Delaware, the Blue Hen State, home of President Joe Biden.
Nice. We'll be talking about him tonight. You're up.
Is it me next?
Yeah, it's you next.
I guess I'm the new addition, right?
Yeah.
Another sister of yours.
Yeah. We got sisters on
from
deck
Columbia,
now.
Maryland. Right. You got two sisters on deck.
We got sisters on deck. And it's like I said when I sent the thing, like, I know Douglas Francis he'd be somewhere smiling. He would be, for sure. Mia, you're up. Look at your swanky new digs.
Northern Virginia.
Oh,
not swank.
Yeah.
It's not swank. That's
DMV. That's swanky.
Upside down.
That's DMV. That's high rent district, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
Doing it. That's that Amazon money. That's what that is. You got everybody with long money.
Right? This is that Amazon money. This is Amazon goods here. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And of course, the conscious of the show, like the moral center.
Really?
Oh, God. Yeah, you definitely.
Okay.
Definitely the moral center.
Yeah. Hi, Autumn here, and coming from Baltimore.
Nice. If you notice, we got the timer at the top left-hand corner, so there will be no shenanigans now. Like we'll know it'll be like a hard stop at an hour and a half. And I already previewed it with Jason. And he was like, yeah, it's not that bad. Like, he can still edit it, but it won't be in the segments. We'll just have a hard hour and a half. I should probably still do the sponsors, but the sponsor as of now is us, Killing the Breeze, like KTV, all the materials that we're selling from Killing the Breeze, which actually kind of sort of transitions us, will transition me to the next phase. But we've got an exciting show today. Hopefully Dr. Jasmine Leigh Morse will be showing up. She had surgery last week. You know how that goes. Author of Heart Rhythms, the essays Surviving Singleness with Faith, Know-How, and Grit. There it is, if you can see that. And there she is, right? She will hopefully be joining us, and if she doesn't, we'll try to get her on at another time. Because her book was a super quick read, and I'm pretty sure it was for women, but as a man who read it, like, there was some really personal stuff, some stuff where it's like, wow, like, women go through a lot. But in addition to that, we got, oh boy, Joe Biden acting very Trumpish when it comes to Black immigrants, particularly Haitian immigrants. We've got the difference between Black women and white women when they go missing. And I thought it was particularly poignant with Joy Reid when she kind of sort of summarized it. And then, of course, we have what we should probably start off with, because it's a little lighter and it's entertainment. The Wonder Years are Black. and like people are super pissed. For people who don't know, the Wonder Years or it was Winnie Cooper and Fred Savage, who really hasn't grown since from like that size or whatever.
No,
he hasn't.
Right.
I didn't know that.
He hasn't. Did anybody see Fred Savage in what's his name? The Key and Peele, like the Key when Key had his own show or whatever. Fred Savage was fucking hilarious. Like
the last time I saw him was in one of the Austin Powers movies.
He was in one of the Austin Powers movies. I definitely.
He's a Rex, right? Like he does behind the scenes stuff now. Right?
He's like a secret power player in like the LGBT community also.
Cool.
Like he like doesn't, he's not vocal, but like he gives money and funds. He's like deep into it. So he's the executive producer. Everybody should remember the Wonder Years, a coming of age. Actually, you know what? For our younger viewers, the Wonder Years was a coming of age tale in the 1960s about a family and adolescence. Particularly the son, who was played by Fred Savage, who's now executive producing this show. It was pretty white. I don't remember any black people in the Wonder Years before.
There were any.
There was one episode. I think there was one episode. There might have been a black teacher.
Nice.
Who made a huge impact, but I think the school district ran her out or something.
Yeah, that sounds like the 60s for sure.
It's been a minute since I've seen the Wonder Years, but I do recall there being one episode with a black teacher. Right.
So it was very Friends-ish in the sense that it was pretty white, but there may have been a couple of black people every now and again. It took place in the 1960s, obviously a decade of social upheaval and turmoil, and their trials and tribulations growing up then. Now it's been completely flipped. Not flipped in the sense of what it's covering, but flipped in the sense of the perspective, which is great. Now the family is wholly black, right? And it's coming from the perspective of black people in the 60s. The trials and tribulations of a black family and black adolescents in the 60s. Right. And some people aren't really happy about that.
Who would some people be?
We don't like to, are we naming names? Like,
it's just it seems like it might be a specific demographic.
It's a specific demographic. They shall remain nameless, or do we need to take a guess, or should we just say white people are upset? White people are very angry,
very mad.
Very mad when are not centered around them.
It's not just that. It's that
it didn't get any.
They're getting that little buzz, like, oh my God, were we really that bad? That's what they're getting,
and it hurts to find out. Yeah,
and the little snowflakiness that's in them, the cariness that's in them.
I think
it's great.
Yeah, I think the whole thing obviously is
my bottle of white tears right here.
Right? Yeah, delicious.
Right,
they're delicious and nourishing. Right.
The problem is that's their grandmamas, right? Yeah. That's what their grandmamas was doing. Like it's not like this is like yesteryear at 1865. Yeah. This is like grandma and them.
Yeah,
this is mum and papa. This ain't like it's
right. It's very recent. It's very near. And I wrote about this when I wrote my CRT article. A lot of the angst is, and I think Walter, you just brought it up, or maybe it was one of you guys brought it up. It's were we really that bad? Nobody wants to have they don't like to have the feeling that
that's right.
It was that bad, but it was that bad.
Right. And that's the whole issue with critical race theory and with any time you want to talk, anytime that there's some discussion that surrounds race and the disparity between the races, it's, oh my God, why are you making it so racial? It matters, right? Yeah. Yes, everyone has to start somewhere. But when you start at third base trying to get home and we're starting from the bullpen, there's a big difference.
Yeah.
And that's the reality of it.
When we can't even get on the field.
Bingo. Right?
Literally.
Right.
Yeah.
Do we think it's the fact that there's a television show centered on Black people and the Black experience? Or is it the fact that it was the Wonder Years, which was a bastion of whiteness that's now become blacker? Or is it all of the above? Or is it a mixture of both? What do we think?
I think it's a mixture of both.
Yeah. I think it's probably a mixture.
The fact that there's a show centering a black family that's not in the hood or struggling.
Yeah, well, that's I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chantel.
I think because, like, I think there are certain shows to white people that like meant something to them. And I think for a lot of white people, The Wonder Years was one of those shows. It was one of the ones they look forward to. It was like an idealistic version of life. And so now to have it turned on its head, and it's like, black people live in that life. It's unfathomable. They're like, what do you mean?
I think it's the perspective is obviously something that they may not have been ready for, or that in a lot of cases it was a lot of idealization, a lot of romanticization of the characters of the old Wonder Years are now, they're black.
Not all the characters were that great. Like, I was a huge fan of the Wonder Years when I was a kid. Like, I would not miss it. That was the one night that I was allowed to stay up later than my mom would typically let me stay up. Sure. The older brother, Wayne?
Yeah, I remember Wayne. Yeah.
He was a bully. The dad, this like really
Dan Laurie, like a hardworking, like
angry guy who the whole family was afraid of.
Yeah.
I think it's just people love the show and they've attached themselves to these fictional characters. They don't even want us in their imaginations.
Dr. Morse just signed on, and then she's just signed off. So hopefully she'll sign back on soon. But go ahead. I did not mean to interrupt.
Oh no, that was it. That was my point. I think they just don't want the people who are angry. Anytime something starts out with characters who are white, if a black character is introduced, they'll use the excuse that, oh, you're messing with the original. But it's like, is that really why you're upset?
I can name many, many movies starting way back with Ben-Hur and how they use white characters to play black people all the time.
Cleopatra.
I mean, any biblical movie is wrong.
What was the one with
I was mad when they used white people for the gods of Egypt. Are you kidding me right now? You can find black slaves, but the gods were white?
I wish Sean was here. That was his man, Joel Egerton. Like, it was like guy's pretty white. The gods of Egypt. And then Scarlett Johansson in the what was the Asian flick?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I have not seen it, but
a lot of people too. Yeah, Matt Damon and Great Wall. Yeah, Chappelle did a skit about that, right? Somebody did a skit or a stand up about.
Yeah, wasn't Tom Cruise the Last
Samurai? Yeah, that's
what.
Yeah, but I think it's interesting that when it comes to us, it's that's not historically accurate. Though we're talking about fictional characters, right? There was no Winnie Cooper. There was no. These are just made up characters. So why can't they be black?
They were upset when they found out that Hermione was black in Harry Potter.
Yeah,
it's like, but she was described as a smart girl with, like they never described her color.
Yeah,
they just filled it in, and they got upset with the character Rue in
the Hunger Games.
Yes, Hunger Games, and I think Rue was black in the book, right? They still didn't like that a black actress played her.
They made Superman white, and Superman wasn't white. His name is Kal-El. He ain't white, but that's no story for another day.
Superman is that's kind of sort of a bastion of.
I've yet to meet a white man named Kal-El, but I could be wrong. I don't know. They could exist.
Yeah, no, that's whenever.
Because if the sun is what gives them power, then the skin will be black, not lily white. But
Sure. Jor-El or whatever. Yeah, I just think I don't know. We're kind of sort of in an era of diversity, equity, and inclusion, or community, or whatever you want to call it. So having this representation is huge in and of its face for Black people. Even if you don't watch network TV like that, or even if you don't watch the Wonder Years like that, the fact that you can come across and it's like, hey, like this is this Black family. I think it's also interesting that it's on ABC. It's like almost ABC going out of its way to make a pertinent effort to do this. Because I remember Blackish, and Blackish brings up a lot of statement of itself, because there's some Black people who don't fuck with Blackish, right? But at the same time, it exists, right?
Right.
You got a well-to-do Black family, and how they live, right? Mom's a doctor, kids aren't, the kind of sort of the zeitgeisted stereotypes that are out there about Black teenagers. One dude's like a dork. The daughter's kind of, on the go-getter tip. So I think these images are important, but it's always hilarious when people are like angry. Again, it's like, I feel like it's the mad rapper, right? You're asking like, why are you mad? Like, what are you mad about?
First of all, he asked me no questions.
Right? It's go off on it's like
that is that's the beauty of that show.
Yeah.
It's good, but honestly, who watches broadcast network television today anyway, right?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Maybe that's why it's pertinent. Maybe it's overwhelmingly white people that are watching it, right? So
right. Everybody know watching Stars because they watching Power, but
yeah, it's been getting generations. For what it's worth, it's been getting good reviews. I read a couple of reviews on the show, and it was good. Like people are saying, like they got it right, like they stayed true to the show, even though it's different. So hopefully it lasts. Hopefully it makes it, but I don't know. It's going to be tough to say.
I guess I'll watch that show to see.
Yeah, it's just interesting that the star of the show, the original, the executive producer, so clearly he's happy with all of this. He's fully behind it, but even that can't get people behind it.
Yeah,
your beloved Kevin.
Kevin, right? If Kevin's for it, we're about it. But yes, we've got our esteemed guest for the evening, and she just sent me an email. She was appreciated. We're on the midst of the Black Wonder Years and how white people are triggered by it.
Really?
Yeah. The dad, who actually, when you guys described the dad, I wonder if they were writing like the dad who everybody was scared of, who didn't like his job. That's very James Evans. I wonder if they picked that, right? Whoever brought that up, I've been thinking about that ever since then.
I have a feeling that was a typical dad back then. Like that was just a dad during that time.
That was a dad. Right. Though I was, speaking of that, I was reading that JJ was kind of a dick. Like he didn't like they didn't fuck with any of the castmates, and like he and like Esther Roll didn't get along. He and Glenn Turner didn't get along. Yeah. Well, he wanted Thelma to be more of like a sex symbol or whatever. Norman Lear's like, oh, we're not trying to sex her up. He was like, that's what the people want. And he got top billing. He was like the highest paid one on the show. Obviously, because he had probably had at the time the most successful career. He was like a successful stand-up. But that fucked my whole shit up. I was like, JJ's a bitch. And then like
now, like, isn't he super conservative and friends?
Yeah, he was going out with Ann Coulter for a little bit. I was like, that shocked me too. I was like, I did not see that coming. But
he does the Social Security commercials now too.
He does. I saw those.
Commercials.
I saw those. The old reverse mortgages. We don't want to dip into people's financial situations. I just turned 40, so I'm getting old, but we all have parents and grandparents. You probably want to stay away from the reverse mortgage game. It's probably not for you.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Wow.
But hey, if you're going to make those decisions, look into it. What'd you do today, Doc Morse? Why was it so long a day?
Just working. I had training all day. Then I had to meet my mom and my sister to handle some family related things. Get home, make that dinner for my husband, and then I realized I got an email. So I was like, okay, let me get all plugged into this. So I had to change, freshen up.
You got the super official, like, hey, like when you email Doc Morse, it's like, hey, like she'll get back to you on her own time. So I'm like, okay, that's what's up. Like, hopefully she sees these in time because we were going with it. But no, we were supposed to do the 14th. That didn't happen. How was surgery? Good?
Good. I'm feeling good. Recovering well. I'm able to sit up and talk with you all tonight. So that's a good thing.
Good. And then normally we do this before we delve into the topics, but I think we've hit the wonder years and triggered white people enough so where we can go into a little snippet about your background. For those who haven't been able to get your wonderful book and read your background, or who haven't gotten your media or press kit, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thanks so much. I'm Dr. Jasmine Leigh Morse. I'm an author, speaker, and community leader, as well as an educator. I've been teaching for over 20 years at the academic level. I've taught in the adjunct faculty at Coppin State University in Baltimore, as well as Morgan State Universities. I sit on a few boards in Baltimore County, and I work for federal government. Also, I do some consulting, writing consulting, as well as strategic planning in the area of communications. My book, though, is what we're here to talk about. I could go on and on about my background, but specifically about my book, I wrote this book in the pandemic, Heart Rhythm, Surviving Singleness with Faith, Know-How, and Grit. And what it really is my story about my singleness, my journey as a single woman leading up to when I got married. The purpose of the story is not so much to talk about me getting married and why you should get married and the how-tos, but it really is talking about my journey to healing and wholeness. So I'll be excited to talk with you all about the different topics in the book tonight, and let me know if you have questions because I'm eager to have this discussion.
Oh yeah, so that's how we normally get down. So we got a few topics that we're going to go through, and then we end each podcast with a focus on you and a focus on whatever it is that you're doing, which will be this book, which I thought was like stupid. Again, as I was telling my co-host, I feel like it may have been written more for women than men, because as a man reading it, I was just like, wow, like women go through a lot. Some of the things that you were thinking about and talking about never even crossed my mind. Like,
really?
It's like, yeah, the kind of sort of the pressures, the societal pressures, and some of the stigma with like, taking the next step in life and moving forward, and the things that you think about, and then you get kind of personal too. There's some things that hopefully, I mean, obviously you wrote the book and you want people to read it, so we'll talk about some of those things also.
Sure.
But yeah, so I'm excited to have this discussion, excited to have you on. I'm wondering whether we should go into it, how we would weave it together. Because we finished the Wonder Years. What we're going to go into next was probably, actually, since we're here, we got all the sisters on. Let's talk about it. What was the white woman's name that just disappeared, just got killed by a crazy man?
Gabby
Patino.
Patino. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Again, I may have been out of the loop. I didn't really care about that. I don't really get gripped in a lot of the national news anymore, just because I think, obviously it's for a profit. It's for a reason. Like, things are put out there for a reason. But I did think it was, I did think it was important, and Walter actually brought it up, and we should talk about it. Kind of sort of the attention that this got. I saw a post where there was a long list of black girls and black women that disappeared. Wasn't shit about it in the media. Like this one, and I don't even know what made it special. Like,
right. it was over 10,000 Black women in 2020
Wow.
who were abducted. 10,000.
Yeah.
10. Not one. 10,000. And not one word.
No.
I
I
mean,
can't think of one.
and so to me, it even goes back for me all the way back to what is it, Joan Benet Ramsey, the little girl.
I remember her.
You know what I mean? Okay.
They
How many
still
Black girls
talk
missing?
about her. There's still
Right.
documentaries
Still.
that air asking about what happened to her.
From a media perspective, though, I kind of understood that because the family was rich. It was like a gated community. Also, she was 7, I think, at the time, and was like going through the beauty pageant thing. And there was just a lot of like, what the fuck happened here with that?
So
Though,
what?
again, to your point, there are Black girls that disappear all the time that don't get shit talked about it. I wrote about media coverage. Wow, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, where I was literally like, yeah, like newsrooms are white and mainly male, so it's clear like what's going to lead and what isn't going to lead. Victims and perpetrators by race and gender are purposely lifted. Stories are purposely lifted. So it's one of those things where what's covered is really what's profitable. And as somebody who, runs a media company and like tracks analytics and clicks and likes and exposure and stuff like that, it's easy to see why things are the way they are. I guess what we should explore is how the fuck can we change this beyond getting more Black people at heads of news divisions and newsrooms and media companies.
So what's interesting, from my perspective, is we have a strong culture of mind our own damn business, right? And from the beginning, there was a whole bunch of people calling the police because them 2 people was outside fighting, arguing. Oh, I just saw these 2 people outside fighting as they driving by, and that happens in our neighborhood. We end up shot. There's no chance for us to go missing, right? And the other side of that same thing is, do they even respond to Black people fighting? Versus a white woman getting beat up. That's what's going to get responded to. And it's pretty tragic and it's pretty sad, but it's unfortunate that that's the America that we live in. That our people don't get the same care.
Yeah, well, we're a group that the media doesn't really care about when it comes to our well-being. So, and even if people who work in media care, maybe just the majority of the American population, just like, they're not thinking about Black women, and they're not going to be concerned if a Black woman is missing. It's probably not going to get as much attention, unfortunately. Like, we care as Black people, and we care about, I think have a tendency to care in general about anyone who's missing, because it's a tragic, unfortunate thing. Like, you have a family member or a loved one you can't find them, but Black women are probably the least cared about group of people. Or at least one of the least. I can't say maybe the least, but it's probably, I would say maybe Black trans women are the least cared about. But yeah, the less this world cares about you, the less they're going to talk about you being missing or anything bad happening to you, for that matter.
I think we see a lot of power in that, in the lifting of what's important and what isn't. Again, I refer back to me. I just remember doing the research. Black victims, that sells, right? So there'll always be news stories. There'll always be links to, hey, like, these amount of Black people died, or this amount of Black people were hurt. Black perpetrators, that sells, right? This amount of, the praying Black man, the praying Black people or whatever. And then Black victims and Black perpetrators and victims of different races. Those are like the 3 that go. So they either want Black perps, Black victims, or black perps and victims of a different race. Like that's what goes down. White women are clearly at the top. If there's a white woman who's a victim, like that will lead as we're talking about it now.
And the more attractive she is, the more people care.
Sure.
Yeah.
Obviously that's systemic. Obviously that's ingrained in, where we are as a society, where we are, where it comes to valuing whiteness. And at the top of valuing whiteness is white women for sure. So, how do we change it? Can it be changed? Like, because again, I'm a 40-year-old man. Like, I gave no fucks about Grace Petito. I'm sorry she's dead, but like, shit happens. Like, there's a lot of people die. I felt like Cam and Paid in Full. It's like, people get shot every day, right? Like, people get killed every day, right? So,
how much resources are they putting into this search for this one white man in the middle of the Florida Everglades or Appalachians or wherever the hell he's at?
I think they stopped it, right? Then they stopped looking for him and just turned it over to the feds.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The feds are involved. My question is where is this effort for any crime? Right? For any other crime, period. How many? We got literally kids dying in the street every day.
Yeah.
And we can't solve those murders, but we're gonna go and we're gonna make a nationwide manhunt for some random white dude who killed some random white chick who are of no consequence other than to their immediate family. I mean, whose lives are they impacting?
I'm wondering
are they so special?
If the video, right, where I guess the people reported seeing like him fucking with her or whatever, and then she did end up dead or whatever. Like, I wonder if that has
the aggressor, according to what the police said. According to the police report, she was the aggressor. That's why they didn't lock him up at the time.
Yeah.
Probably I didn't see. Was there footage that was released?
They released some footage.
Yeah, maybe the footage was the catalyst.
Yeah, and they also showed when they got pulled over by the state troopers or the sheriff in that county. I guess a couple days before she got found, it was the cops were like, "Look, dude, we're gonna let you go to her as long as you think you're safe."
That happens a lot. I watched a documentary some years ago about women who are being abused and how little effort there is by the police to protect them. It's really alarming. So I'm not surprised that the cops are just like, whatever. And it might have been that reaction, that initial, we'll let you go as long as you feel safe. Maybe that's why there's like this turnaround. Is had the cops maybe taken things more seriously, maybe investigated more, they would have seen that maybe she was the aggressor in the situation, but that's what maybe the footage told. But there's so many instances of a man being an aggressor in a situation, and then the cops show up and it's like, come on, she's a woman. She's acting crazy. You know how they are. And the cops are like, oh, well, yeah, I got one at home too. And then they just let it go. That's how they handle a lot of domestic.
Or people don't look like us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, DV is actually done. It's actually handled differently depending upon race, just like everything else. Most other things in the country. I'm wondering, just looking at the story, if he meant to do it. Like, do you think it was like a knockdown, drag out argument where like he just went too far, or if there was like, because it's interesting,
or maybe he left her ass there, or maybe he left her ass there and something happened.
Yeah, they brought him in for questioning. Like he didn't even get to that. Like before, it was like, yeah, we're gonna question the boyfriend. He lawyered up.
Yeah.
He lawyered up immediately, which I would suggest one should do. But like, especially if you did it. But
he didn't do it.
But I'm. Is there a manslaughter? I'm really just searching hard to figure out why this is an issue, why this is a story.
Hey, exactly.
I mean, devil's advocate here.
Sure.
It's a slow news cycle.
That could be
honestly.
it.
A slow news
Yeah.
cycle.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I guess they can't cover R. Kelly's trial.
As
There's not a
well, and to
not like
piggyback
you
on
have
to
Trump
piggyback on
constantly
that,
give us
like
stuff
that's
to pay
case in
attention
point in what we're talking about here, where Black women and Black girls don't get the same type of coverage. If any of R. Kelly's victims would have been pretty blonde haired, blue eyed white girls, don't you think that they would have locked him up a hell of a lot sooner?
All it would have taken was one.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, aren't
Just
we all
years
happy
ago.
that he got the convictions that he received? But should it
But
have
how
taken this
long it
long?
took and how much it was like waved off. Like, I mean, he's notorious for being a predator. When I was in college, I remember hearing girls from Chicago saying, "Oh yeah, he was always outside of our high school."
The amount of victims of the number of years is making me right. If it was a blonde hair, blue eyed girl within 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's the only reason. Yeah, he would have been in prison a long time ago. But I mean, I think a lot of times predators know they look for a specific type of victim, someone that other people may not care as much about. And a lot of his victims were girls or very young women who came from families where they didn't feel loved or supported. And then you have this, superstar you look up to showing you love and care and concern. And that's how he was able to manipulate and do the things that he did.
I mean,
but then you have a society who then says this predator broke the law, we do nothing.
Exactly.
Because they realized that these kids were underage for the most part, regardless of the fact that their parent may have consented to him mentoring them for music. Like they didn't consent to their child being abused or molested or victimized. And it's been how many girls over how many years, and it's just now like 20 years later that he's finally convicted after the trauma.
Yeah, he's not I don't know if he's a smart man, but he was definitely smart enough to know that the type of victim, I wouldn't say victim, but the type of person to prey on. And I'm sure there's a part of him that knows, like, well, I've been doing it for years and they haven't done anything about it. He knows that the world isn't going to care too much.
I have two questions. Where do we think we are on R. Kelly, right? Because when I think of R. Kelly, I don't even think of the music anymore. I think of the Boondocks episode, Free R. Kelly, Free R. There was literally like a split. And very Cosby-ish, like, on R. Kelly. And that's my second question also for me playing the me as devil advocate. Bill Cosby had a particular type and they were not black, and he was able to suppress that through money and through fame and fortune. When we talk about treatment of women, particularly black women, in his case white women, is it a class thing? Is it if you're a man of means and wealth, you can pretty much do whatever you want to, or is it layered upon race? No, but firstly, R. Kelly, I haven't seen anybody sticking up for R. Kelly anymore. That used to be a thing.
It's Weinstein too. But look at Weinstein. Same thing happened to him. He had the money and the power for a long time, and he got Me Too'd, and the cat got the known secret was made public, and he in jail for 70 years.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Die there.
Yeah. It's a tough thing.
Has anybody heard anybody supporting R. Kelly since this has come out, since we're in this phase of it? I haven't seen any of it, but I could be wrong.
Not publicly, no.
I don't travel in circles.
Not in my circles. That's right, Autumn.
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
Not,
I mean, I would.
Not in my circles, yeah.
But then I recently heard. I was going to say, I recently heard that there was also a male victim.
Yes.
Of R. Kelly?
And that's when people really started to be like, oh, maybe there is something wrong. Because
he groomed them since they were like 13, 14. Wow. And he had the male victim performing acts on the female victims. And then he would record it to blackmail them later.
Mhm.
Wow. So this is like what the fuck was the movie with Ed Norton and Richard Gere with the priest?
Mm.
It's like he's like R. Kelly is like
Primal
that
Fear?
level of
Is that it?
Primal Fear. Yeah, great movie. Yeah. R. Kelly
Yeah,
is
they
that
said it was like
level
really
of
like elaborate.
ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So when you introduce that angle to it, when it's a man, like you will lose. You're definitely gonna lose black people there for sure.
Mhm.
No, I think you look on message boards though, where like people are talking about him, like the griot and stuff. If you look on the message boards, there are tons of black people supporting him.
Oh yeah, I believe it. I believe it because you go back to the Boondocks
Yeah.
That was-
episode where it's like, why do you support R. Kelly? Cause he's good. Like,
Cause he good.
I can't. Yeah. Nah.
Why do you support R. Kelly? Cause he good.
cause he's good. Yeah, I remember.
Man, them uppity ass always talk about reading and eating good. That
was a classic
That
episode.
Boondocks episode was ridiculous. People like you, Dr. Morse, always talking about reading books and eating good. There's a certain segment of our community that's not fucking with that at all.
That's true. Especially
Telling us about vegetables.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Especially eating good.
Especially
Here we
eating
go.
good. So
Here we go.
Especially eating good.
especially eating good. Remember,
You
she
should have
had
known better to
Your
follow
message
that
has been
crap.
received, Walter. I know, right?
Walter, we hear it.
Just glossed past it.
We hear you.
For
We hear you,
background,
Coach. We hear you.
Walter lost sugar-free ketchup this week, so he's salty.
I
He's
lost it all.
salty. So can we
Oh,
just gloss
wow.
right over
for
that?
background, Doc, Walter is
Walter.
he's a personal trainer and about to compete in Mr. America.
Oh wow.
We actually should do that now before we get into Biden is Trump, and then we go to Dr. Morse,
Okay.
and we get into this book and get into these themes that she covered in this book. Walter, you want to give us an update on the training, the eating, your overall disposition?
Look at my eye. I'm so tired, right? Because I'm down to around 1,200 calories, almost all protein, 0 carbs, other than like broccoli and asparagus, and nothing that is artificially sweetened. So you don't realize how much shit is artificially sweetened until you gotta not get stuff that's artificially sweetened. Like even my pre-workout, artificial sweetener. I'm like, it's a pre-workout, it's just caffeine. Nope. So yeah, everything. Ketchup, sauces, all that from barbecue sauce. Even if there's no sugar barbecue sauce, it still got artificial sweetener, it's out.
Salad dressing.
I never use salad dressing anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eat it. And my wife just said I don't eat salad, so she might be right on that one too.
Oh.
So and next week is gonna be fun. So this week is I'm out with no carbs, still training hard, 2 cardio sessions a day plus 1 lifting session. And next week will be really exciting because I'll be eating like just vegetables 3 times a day and 1 protein. And then that'll be when I'm cutting water. So it'll be like 2 gallons of water on the Saturday before. So on Saturday, it'd be like 2 gallons of water. Sunday, it'd be like 1.5 gallons. Monday, it'd be like 1 gallon, and then 0.5 gallon, and then 1 quart, and then 2 cups, and then 1 cup, and then none. So yeah, I'll be dried all the way out for the show. In addition to still doing cardio every single day for at least 1 hour and 20 to 1.5 hours. So yeah.
Well, you're gonna be tired.
I was gonna say, your
Yeah.
wife. Like, are you cranky? I'm like, this.
I'm
poor
never
woman.
cranky. I'm always a peach.
Autumn, you know the answer to that question.
Oh, do you know?
Look,
I
did
know
you hear?
Right, I hear her.
We see you and love. We see you
Love
and
you.
hear
We're
you.
sending you lots of love.
Yeah,
And
we
Yeah.
hear you and see you, Dr. Sellers. We're on your side with that. I know Walter's got to be.
Yeah,
Always on your side, Tracy. Never on
Yes.
Walter's.
Mhm.
Yes.
Thanks. So
Yes.
side note, one of my clients last week showed me the name of her playlist. Her playlist name was Walter is a Jerk. That was her playlist for her workout. That's the workout
Fitting.
playlist.
Fitting.
So don't worry. Come Saturday's class, it's gonna be really exciting.
Yeah, and
But yeah, so I'm down to
right?
yesterday. Yeah, Yesterday morning I was 224. This morning 223. Next Friday I should be like 217.
And that's what you want to compete at? That's your target weight to compete?
216, yeah. So,
okay.
And I want to make sure that as I'm cutting it, I'm not doing it all at one time. Because theoretically, I could go in the sauna right now for 3 hours and be there. But I want to do it over the next week so it's not quite so painful.
Okay.
And then be on the stage, not stupid depleted, but depleted enough. So.
But that's all it takes is sitting in the sauna? I know that.
Go for it, but the problem is tomorrow.
Right? Water
the problem is the next day.
All coming back.
I'll be back. I'll be back next day. Yeah, I know.
So you want to?
That's not for real people, man. That's not what we want to do. That's what we want to do.
That's not for us.
Yeah, your diet sounds like a nightmare.
Right now, one of the good things is I gotta tell you the truth. My grandmother and my mom made sure I knew how to cook when I was a kid. Right. And then when I was
a basic life skill. Yes.
Right? And then when I was single, I went to Williams and Sonoma. Williams and Sonoma used to have a 6-week cooking class. So I went and I took that because I was single and I was in the car business and I worked a lot. So my date nights was always, come on over, I'll cook. So, I was able to do fancy and now I can cook. So luckily my food is good. But yeah, right now it's just I don't even care what it is anymore.
I don't eat chicken.
I'm eating salmon, chicken, ground turkey, shrimp. I eat stuff, but it's just I don't care what. Like I can eat this keyboard right now. I'm hungry. I'm hungry.
Welcome to the club.
Oh, see, this is what you're doing here. You're fine.
Do some squats, Walter. Don't think about it.
So when we get done tonight, just so you know, I'll be downstairs on the Stairmaster when we get done tonight. So just to be clear, it's not just it ain't for this is for real, not for show. This is for real. This is the grind. So
October 9th,
Atlantic City. At the Showboat Casino in Atlantic City.
The Mr. America competition.
That's right. There'll be a lot of other stuff there too. A couple of my friends are competing in the powerlifting meet on that Sunday. But on that Saturday is the bodybuilding show, and that's going to be an all-day event. And I'm looking forward to it. It'll be good. And I get to eat. So anybody who comes, we're going to go to either the Caesars Buffet, which is what I'm leaning towards, because they got the most food for the best price, right? And it's everything. If I want pasta, I want pizza. And it's right next to the cupcake shop, because there's a cupcake shop right there. And I might not make it. Hey, Princess, how are you? Oh, you ain't gonna say hi?
Oh, we got a visitor. Yeah, I saw Cece in the background before too. We got all sorts of visitors now.
So yeah, I might not make it past that cupcake shop though. Yeah,
that's okay.
It might be that kind of night. We'll see. I might gain back them 7 pounds in a night, but we'll see how that works out.
It's well deserved. Well deserved.
Worth it.
Yeah. So we got about 10 minutes before we go into a deep dive with Dr. Morse and her book and some of the topics that she covers. So in that 10 minutes, I want to know what's going on with y'all man Biden and the Haitian immigrants. The fuck is that? Right? We're supposed to be away from this kind of. I'm seeing people on horseback whipping people like slaves. I'm like,
that's
what's going on here? Like we're hurting people.
Yeah.
I'm a diehard True Blue Democrat. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows I'm a moderator on the Lee Kamala forum on Facebook. I go back. I go hard for that. But this shit is unacceptable. Like there's no way. And then they were silent on it until black leaders came out and were like, "The fuck is this?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, that shit is bad." It's like it was bad days ago. Like it was bad when it came out. It's almost it seemed political, like they were gauging where people were, and it's like, no, like we're not the population to go for the Trump shit. The Trump shit is for Trump supporters, like not for Democrats, especially not black people.
That's right.
I don't know. That was tough to get. That was tough for me to see. It's tough to defend. I don't know.
There's no defense.
There is no defending it.
There's none. We're
it's
all
an epic fail.
And I think the hard part that I have is two different things, two issues. First issue is, where is that enthusiasm when it comes to the white immigrants who overstay their visas?
No, it's not there.
and the ones that come across the northern border, where's the vigorous enforcement of immigration laws for those people?
Yeah, there's a lot of illegal Canadians.
Yes, there are.
Canadians,
yes, there
Russians. Where's Melania Trump from?
Slovenia.
There you go. From there too. So, I think that the complexion protection is a big part of it. But the bigger part of it for me is I'm old enough to remember when our vice president gave a speech and said, "Don't come." I was there when she said that.
You said I'm old enough to remember, like it was
That's the point, right?
like it was 2 days ago.
Before all this shit came about, she was like, "Look, don't come," and they still showed up.
Yeah.
So it's a disagreement that we have on the other forum, Quasi, and I think that part of the problem is we have enough issues in America right now, right? We have enough issues, and we have a $28 trillion debt. And how are we able to one, voluntarily allow so many people to come in who are going to increase the debt and possibly make more people who are already poorer.
So for me, I'm on the other end of this as somebody who, I'm an abortion extremist. Like, I'm for abortion all the way through to like the last part of like the last trimester. If like the head or legs aren't sticking out, you can go ahead and get rid of it as far as I'm concerned. I'm an immigration extremist also. Let them all in. As somebody who's a big proponent of behavioral economics and particularly, econ generally, there is no restriction. Like, it's not like the pie is fixed and like we only have parts. Like, immigrants, more population will make the pie grow. Now, I understand where Walter and other people are coming from when it comes to maybe use of resources and resource extraction, but I'm not a socialist or a communist, but I am on the, let the people of the world come in. I just traveling the country, as I'm sure you all had, we have plenty of room. We have a ton of space.
We do.
When I'm on the same side of an issue that like George Will is, where it's like, and Ronald Reagan, where it's like, we can accommodate all of these people. Like, there's got to be some room for some middle ground. Now, if we're talking about low wage jobs and stuff like that for immigrants that have just come over, there's going to be competition there. But I mean, as a capitalist, I'm on the board that competition is good. And we're seeing, as a result of increased immigration and a labor force that is more competitive because it's more open, people aren't putting up with this shit anymore. We've had immigrants, for instance, in like the restaurant industry forever, right? Running it. And now people are like, in that industry are like, like these bullshit wages that we give for restaurants, like, that's not working. You would think you'd be able to hire someone who's just come here for a certain wage, but like, it's not working. Like, they aren't working that wage. And part of that is, and like Walter said, we're on another thread. That is American exceptionalism. When you get here and you realize, hey, like, we got rights. As somebody who has dated has dated a few women from other countries who are immigrants and not, when people get here and it's like, like in America, like, you work and get paid. I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, in the country that I'm from, like, you work and you might not get paid. Like, it's one of those things. I was like, like, that's some shit I don't know anything about. People aren't accepting less, which I think is a good thing. But the resource extraction argument, adding to the debt because there are mouths to feed and stuff like that, I think that's legitimate. But overall, in the long term, I think the more the merrier. Like, the pie only grows. It's not taking smaller pieces. The pie actually grows. Like the human resource, the people resource, it grows. And then we already know when it comes to entrepreneurship, when it comes to wages, when it comes to education. It's not native born Americans that are leading those things. It's foreigners. It's people who get here and they're like, holy shit, you guys have access to everything. And like they take advantage of it far more than we do. So I understand the lemony immigration. I know that I'm on the extreme end of this, very much like I am abortion, but I'm very comfortable with where I am as I'm 40 years in one day. Like I feel real good about where I am on like a lot of these issues. Mm-hmm. And I wholly respect where others are coming from, but I say let them all in. But we can't be whipping people like slaves on horseback, though. That shit doesn't
That's a fact.
And as somebody who's a big Kamala booster, then they fucking put her on immigration. What the fuck is going on? Like there's like it seems like it's like she's like a passive bystander with this. And I know my mom will probably get after me because on the AKA stuff, but I'm like, come on, like let's do something. Like you're on this, like let's make this happen. Like this, we can't be seeing these images. This is some shit I would expect under Trump, not under a progressive Democratic administration that's supposed to be like, yeah, we're gonna put a stop to this. So yeah, I don't know. I may have gone on a little rant there, but it's been building up in me for quite some time on this. I'm not real happy. When I saw those images, I wasn't real happy about that at all. And I was really upset that it took them so long. It literally took Black leaders to be like, can you make a statement on this? Like you're on it, tell us something.
Right.
But yeah, so,
journalism blackout. It was like a journalism blackout down there, right?
Yes, there was.
Yeah.
Yes, there was, because I'm sure the pictures were not great. Mm-hmm. But it's all right. You know, hopefully this too shall pass as midterms come up. We're about a year, 13 months, 14 months. I'm getting the fundraising emails and stuff like that. I'm sure you guys are too, for those who are political. It's something that they're going to have to address because there are a lot of people who are centrist. And I would even though I just painted myself as a super extremist on two issues, I'm probably more of a centrist than more than population at large. And since I believe in, kind of sort of take the economic man, economic woman, whichever most efficient, whichever most productive is probably where I land on a lot of issues. But yeah, that wasn't good. You guys have anything to add? Kamala, Biden, what is they? I'm trying to think of that song. I'm trying to think of that song where it was like, was it Sadat X? Whoop a nigga like a slave. I was like, that was terrible on horseback. Like, yeah, I'm like, come on, you can't do that.
No,
not all right. Look at the time. This is working out perfectly. Yeah. I love StreamYard. Love it. Oh my gosh, I can't believe we were doing Zoom for. How long were we doing Zoom for, Autumn and Walter? Like a while. And like,
yeah, quite a while.
Nah, it was tough. Like we go on, 50-minute conversations about Lizzo and shit like that. It's like, oh, we lost track of time. Like, this is way easier. Dr. Morse.
I think the key is seeing the timer.
Right?
We're constantly aware of it. Yeah.
Right? And then when I get more organized, we can have like the sponsors before and after, like the beginning of the show at 30 minutes, at like 60 minutes, at 90 minutes at the end.
Mid-rolls, pre-rolls.
Yeah. Which StreamYard does also. I'm doing free advertising, free StreamYard. Yes. Fantastic. Dr. Morse, thank you for bearing with us.
No problem. I'm glad to be here and enjoying the conversation, actually.
That's hopefully we didn't go too far off, but this is normally how we get down. It's the brothers and sisters or the lead media piece of Killing the Breeze, which of course we don't just shoot the breeze, we kill the breeze because we talk about everything, right?
Got it.
So the book, how did you begin to start writing it?
So it began as a stream of consciousness. Actually, I was at my lunch break a couple years back, maybe about 2014. I was speech writing for one of President Obama's appointees, and I took a break and I was just had some thoughts, and I was like, heart rhythms. You know, I started writing this article that I got published later in Blavity's online mag, and so it started there, I'll say. And then when I was planning my wedding, I had all these thoughts about my journey as a single woman, and I just started, just as most people do, going on social media talking about my surviving singleness journey. People were interested. I had just years prior finished my doctoral work on Black female creativity and transformation. So I decided to write my own transformation story. And so here I am today talking to you guys about heart rhythm, surviving singleness with faith, know-how, and grit. I did it in a pandemic. I started prior to being on lockdown in March 2020, and I just finished up. I finished the actual manuscript before I went to editing in July 2020.
Nice.
Can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. So tell us more about your experience. What was it like?
So the writing process?
Yes.
So, you know, the writing process was pretty easy. That's what I do. I'm pretty comfortable writing. But when I started to tell aspects of my life story that were kind of emotional, I did sit in my office while I was writing and cry, like kind of reliving.
Cried, like writing some of this shit, like it's
yeah,
personal.
Like literally reliving things that happened in my early 20s, if you will. So yeah, I did. It was tough at some points, and then sometimes I laughed out loud telling my own stories that I experienced, especially my blind date story and the bottom line essay. And that really happened, by the way.
Well, I'm assuming that everything you wrote really happened, which I was like, wow, like that's a lot. Like I'm not dealing with that as a man. Like that's one of those things. When you talk about stories of a personal nature, did you have any, like you're a professional, like you've got a career, a booming career? Did you have any reservations about? I don't want to give it away, like, you know, can I give things away? Yeah, can I talk?
Sure. We can talk about different topics.
You wrote about, you know, your abortion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, did you have any reservations? Did you have any, should I bear, you know, all this personal piece of my life, this personal journey that I've gone through? Because, I mean, it's real. I was like, wow.
So I didn't have reservations. As I said in the book, I hadn't told anyone, not even my sisters knew. My mom was aware, obviously the guy. And I did share it with my husband before we got married. So when I decided to write about it in the book, I went to him and I was like, hey, I'm feeling like I should tell this part of my story. It wouldn't be a complete surviving singleness journey story if I did not share it. And he was good with it. And so once I got his okay, I had healed from everything that I had went through surrounding that. So it was okay for me to tell the story. I did tell my mom, I gave my mom and sisters an early copy of the book and had them read it before it went through the whole process of being published. But, you know, I didn't have any reservations because I was healed. You know, I think if I was still feeling ashamed about my decision at the time, if I was feeling just still hurt from that whole process of what I experienced and all of the, I don't want to say side effects, but all of the trauma that I experienced post having an abortion, I think that I would have been a bit hesitant. But once I got his okay, I was good with it.
Spirituality is a big part of the book also, and you guys can chime in. I didn't, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get my co-host a copy. We did some speed research, but having read the book, I'm a little more prepared than everybody else. So
No problem.
spirituality is a big part of kind of an underlying theme in a lot of the essays, a lot of the stories. Can you talk about how that guided you, I guess, in your journey from, I don't know, more or less when you started, you know, dating or looking, or I guess you don't even call it that, more or less just living and like having these things thrust upon you, to where you are today? You said, for instance, I noticed you said you had a long day, but like you went home and like you cooked dinner for your husband, and that I was getting some Monique vibes from that, and we'll talk about that too.
Okay.
But let's start with, because spirituality, that's like a big part of her thing now also. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. That's my foundation. I was if you were to define me, you might say I'm a church girl, but that's my foundation, and that's how I was raised. So when I started to really want to work on myself, that's the path that I went to do that, just as anybody would, find the thing that works best for them. And I realized that for me, it was my faith, my relationship with Christ, prayer that has always guided me and gotten me to different aspects and levels in life. And so that's what I reached back to when I was ready to really home in on how I could start to heal and forgive from childhood hurts, etc., and even forgive myself for some of the decisions that I had made. So it's just embedded in me. I'm to this day, it's my faith that guides me.
And I would love for you to lead off, and then I guess it's a topic that we probably could have had, but I did it too late. I don't know. Have you been keeping up? Were you aware of the comments that comedian, actress, mogul Monique made about her marriage? And
I probably am. Can you tell me specifically what you're referring to?
She calls her husband daddy. She was selling Black women that they need to be receptive to their Black men as kings because they're trying to train them to be queens. No. It was pretty, yeah. It was pretty, and it's juxtaposed to when you did your intro, you were like, yeah, it's not necessarily a book about like how to get married or how to find a man, but more like your journey. Whereas Monique was saying like this is kind of sort of what you need to do, both as clinically, as a doctor, as you know, a licensed therapist, and as an author who's written about this. Like, is there such a thing? Is there a Steve Harvey Monique approach to relationships and finding someone?
I think to each his own. For me, I had to follow my own path. I don't view myself as a relationship coach, a guru. I kind of just was like going through my process, and then going through my process, living, doing me, as you might say. I walked into the convention center and met my husband in Washington, D.C. So I think that some of what they say has value. Obviously, I think when people give this advice, it all of it has some value. You can eat the meat and spill out the bones. You know what I mean? But overall, I don't know if I subscribe to a formula. I think I talk about that in my book. I don't know that there is a right formula. Everyone has their own story. As I shared, a lot of my friends, they have different means by which they met their mates, their person that they ended up with. And sometimes it lasts and sometimes it doesn't, so I just have to subscribe to my own thoughts. And by the way, I cook dinner for my husband because I love to cook. That's my thing. If I don't want to cook, I will say, what we eating? What you going to buy us? That's our deal. Like, that's our deal. Like, he don't cook. He said, I'll buy you some food. So like, it's just because I like to cook, and if I'm going to cook me something, I'm definitely going to cook him something. So I cooked dinner last night, so we ate leftovers. That's it.
Indeed.
So I make sure he eats because that's his love language.
Mia, Shawnee, are Nat and Jamie getting daddies anytime soon?
Hey. Daddy, I ain't know about calling nobody no dad. Ain't calling nobody daddy.
Yeah.
That's so weird to me.
For different reasons. I mean, we call each other mom and dad, but that's because we have a kid.
Sure.
But that's just how we identify ourselves in front of our kid. Yeah.
That's different.
But there's
that's
no
different.
daddy.
I don't think that's what Monique's talking about at
I think
all.
Monique,
I don't know that's what Monique means either, but you're good.
She really means daddy. I think she talks about him raising her. So
yeah,
nah,
that's exactly
I say that. Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe she said.
Yeah.
She said he raised her.
It was Doc. It was
Maybe
even
that's
worse
something
than
she
that.
needs, but
She
that's
said
not something
raised
that
once,
everyone
and then
needs.
she said train the other time.
Yeah, I'm an adult. When I got married, I was pretty raised. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You know,
I guess you train a pet though. You don't train your spouse, but okay.
Yeah. And I
train children.
You learn each other, right?
Yeah. Correct. Right.
Train in the gym.
Yeah,
right.
I think
so.
Yeah, I mean maybe that approach is perfect for Monique and any woman that, hearing what she has to say, maybe if it resonates with them. But that, like, you can't go around preaching that and saying that that's what women need to do. Like, that's what you needed to do, and you're happy with
right.
it.
That's her
But
thing.
yeah, like I can't imagine ever calling a guy that I'm in a relationship with daddy, because that's what I call my actual dad. I don't think it's him when I'm
she don't mean zaddy. She means daddy.
I'm good. I'm an adult. I don't need to be trained. You learn from your partner, and it goes both ways. So no one's training. We're just learning each other and figuring things out along the way.
My husband might side-eye me if I was like, daddy. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Can Doc Sellers hear us, Coach?
She's knocked out now.
She's knocked out. I was gonna ask her if there was any daddies coming your way.
Nope. No.
I have strongly confirmed that's not happening.
I can strongly confirm that answer is negative.
No.
Doc, what would you want men to take from this book? Like I said, it seemed to be geared towards women, and you are a woman, so your journey is probably more relatable to women. But as a man who read the book, what would you want men to take from it?
Well, I think I like men to have some empathy for the journey of women, in particular some Black women, because of all that we go through, all our triumphs and struggles. And when you meet a female and you encounter her, just knowing that she has a story behind her that may be a little gritty, that may be a little ugly, and just to have some empathy and sensitivity around some of the things that she's experienced. Now, I don't, by no means do I want a man to take on a project, you know what I mean? But there are some things in a woman's life that can trigger her in relationships, and to just be a little bit more sensitive about it, because she has a backstory, and we are the more feminine, if you will, and sensitive.
You want men to have more empathy.
Just a little bit more empathy, recognize, some of the things that come along with our journey as women. It's hard out here.
Is it any less hard for a man?
No, I'm not saying that, but I think that but I will say this. I think that, I'll say for me, I can't speak for all women. I recognize my husband as the leader of our household. So I recognize how hard he works for us. So I take pleasure in making sure that he eats and making sure that he's taken care of. So and the same is true for me. How I want him to, adapt to my needs is recognize that there may be some sensitive areas that may take me some time to work through those things. I don't want you to be so harsh with me today because I'm emotional about X. Just recognizing how I need to be loved. You know what I mean? The same is true for a man. I intend to do for my husband.
Have you, now you're a pretty renowned speaker. Have you gone on like a speaker tour or speaker series about the book? And if you have, what is the response been?
So I have not gone on. I suffered some health challenges following the publication of the book. So I'm planning all those things next year. I have done several podcasts and several other things, but have not, branched out to things that I had intended to when I first started to think about my marketing and publication of the book. But those things are in the works. I have gotten a lot of great feedback from people I know and don't know. I posted my book because this is an independent published project, obviously. And I posted my book on NetGalley. I got hundreds of downloads from people. got some reviews, more than most indie published authors. So, and I got a lot of great feedback, generally 4 or 5 stars.
Good. What are some of the things that people don't like about the book?
I don't know. I think one of the things that some feedback that I received was people wanted to know more about my relationship with my husband, but that wasn't necessarily my focus. My focus was really to tell my story in a way, not so much memoirish, but just to use essays to kind of tell my experiences. I do talk about him, obviously, and how we met, but I didn't want to make that the focus. I didn't want women to feel like I had reached this penultimate goal in life, and so now I'm going to tell you how you can get a man and get married. You know what I mean? That's some of the feedback I received. I'd be happy to have your feedback with your thoughts.
Oh, I liked it. It was real and pretty raw. I like it whenever I read something that's like super personal. Like that's super revealing. I'm wondering about, you kind of sort of allude to pressures that a lot of women face, like as they're dating, particularly you talk about your friends and, how they were married and, kids and stuff like that, the expectations of women. But in the personality of your story, I guess, what are your views on those societal pressures? Are they good? Are they traditional? Are they normal? Like, it seems you acknowledge that they exist, but you don't really say, like, it's almost like you don't really say how you feel, but then you were like, yeah, like once I cast them aside, like I was good.
Yeah, I guess I'm the type of person, I can take things in and take it to heart, but if I'm done with it, I'm kind of done with it. It was kind of a lot, it was just like I said, some moments. Like, I might have already been feeling sensitive about, somebody I was dating and it wasn't working out the way I wanted. And then in that moment, I had for example, one of my mom's friends coming up to me and saying, "Oh, when are you getting married?" Or you still in school, that kind of thing. So it's like, Dad, I'm already feeling down on myself, and here you come, the devil. You know what I mean? So it's almost like once I just kind of ignore certain things, I'm able to move past them to some degree. But yes, I don't know if women are experiencing some of the same things that I am now. People are a bit more progressive as it relates to marriage, as far as, encouraging women to go to school, get your degree, enter entrepreneurship, being a baddie, a boss chick, you don't need no man. But I think that there may be some underlying pressures. I think I place a lot of pressure on myself, as well, but I do think that there are still some pressures that are prevalent even today, things that are said and unsaid.
Yeah, I think I'm probably the only single woman here, right? Everyone's married. They're still there. They're very much still there. And
well, you're not a woman, Quasi.
I'm not a woman. But I'm here to rep for Team Single.
The older you get and you're not married and you don't have children, the more people look at you as if there's something wrong with you, that you are doing something wrong. And why can't you meet someone? Why aren't you married yet? Why don't you have children yet? The clock is ticking, all that kind of stuff. So
right.
It's still very much still there. But you're right. I tune it out. It doesn't affect you. The questions are gonna come, and you're kind of like, all right.
Whatever. Yeah, whatever.
Whatever.
I do think that it may sometimes certain comments may have affected me a bit more than others.
Yeah.
But I guess I got to the place where at the time, if it happens, it happens. Just trying to move on in life without trying to be hindered. Just living. Yeah, I mean, because you can't get stuck there.
Right. I agree.
Because it can be tough. You want a mate, and you feel like you want to share your life with someone, and you don't want it just to be someone that's casual. Some people like that, and that's their thing. Fine, but I wasn't, someone who wanted to just be in a casual relationship.
Yeah, it's also not easy to. I mean, it's not easy to meet someone where you feel like you can do this like long term.
Why?
Yeah.
Why is it not easy?
Yes.
Because there are, when you're not willing to settle, yeah, it's not easy. It's
Why?
easy if you're willing to settle. Because there's a lot of toxicity in relationships and a lot of views that people have. I mean, at least for me, that like I can't get down with. It's like I couldn't live my life with a person who has certain, perspectives on life and marriage.
For instance, like what?
I'm not like the traditional. Well, like number one, no homophobia in my household.
Okay.
A lot of men are homophobic. So right now that cancels out a lot.
Why is that a problem?
Why is homophobia a problem? Because it's hate, and I don't believe in living in a hateful household. And I don't want those types of things to influence the children that we will ultimately have. I want my child to know that if I'm gay, I'm bi, I'm whatever, I have two parents who love and support me. Not just mom, and we over here talking, and dad can't stand me, but I know mom's got my back. I want them to know that I have full support.
So is it possible for someone to not agree with the lifestyle without being a homophobe?
I don't know. I don't have
know about that.
Question, but regardless, for me personally, that is not something that I find acceptable in a life partner. You can think whatever you want, you can do whatever you want, but as far as a life partner goes, for me, that's unacceptable. So that's one thing. And then, just the concept of what a lot of men think a wife is supposed to be. I may not be that.
Like what?
I'm not doing all the work. It's not going to be, you get to get, like I just posted something recently on Facebook. You get to get up, go to work, make money, go home, and then I'm supposed to take care of everything else. I'm supposed to take care of the kids, I'm supposed to cook, I'm supposed to clean, I'm supposed to grade all the paper, do all the homework, help with the homework, all these contributions to the household, and the guy just gets to sit down and be like, hey babe, where's my shirt? What's for dinner? Like, we're not doing that.
But I think when you meet the right person for you, all that stuff will work itself out. Like
I
agree.
Which is why it's
so
not.
You're not going to settle in the meantime because you
exactly.
You want
so
all
it's easy. The more you are aware of what you want and what you're looking for, and the more specific you become, the more challenging it becomes.
Right. Because you're like, I'm not going to settle for a guy who wants to do nothing while I do everything.
I know exactly what I'm
Why does that
I got you.
Why is that settling then?
Why is it settling? Anytime you are accepting something that's not what you want, that's settling.
But because they're people,
it may not be settling for another woman, but it could be settling for me.
If it's a person, and like you said earlier, or like someone said earlier, if you're growing together, those types of things can get worked out throughout the relationship.
Right.
And
but that's another important thing for me. I need to be with someone who is focused on growing and continuing to be better. And there are a lot of people who are just like, hey, this is who I am.
So,
but maybe what I'm hearing her saying, though, Walter, and Autumn, you can tell me if I'm wrong or not. What you're saying is, in order to grow together, you have to have somewhat similar mindsets. Like you can't.
Yeah, it doesn't have to
be
right.
They don't have to be identical, but she's saying she wants a partner to be someone who she can still do her thing. Like she doesn't have to sit home and do everything with the kids while he does his own thing. Like they can kind of mismatch responsibility. They can be a team. They can collaborate together.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. When I'm in a relationship, I want a teammate. And when someone is on your team, they're going to take the things that you say into consideration. You both kind of have the same end goal in mind.
So if he's a chauvinist who believes that it's a woman's place to be in the house.
Exactly. You can't be on my team because we don't have the same end goal.
They're not going to grow together. I think is what she's saying.
Right.
So, but what I'm saying is if there is someone theoretically that meets your qualifications, but because he was raised in a Christian home, he disagrees with the with the homosexual lifestyle, that's a problem for you. Everything else he meets, got a good job, he's educated, tell him to talk to Oprah and liberal. However, he is not, because he doesn't believe, because that's not how he was raised.
So there's another woman who'd be great for him, but it's not me. Yes.
So
That's a conundrum.
You know, you have to be on the same page.
So
Yeah.
I'm just saying that we are not going to be a good fit because that is something that is important to me. There are other things that I would be willing to budge on that other women may not be willing to budge on, but that's my particular thing.
This conversation is pretty
It's
indicative
good.
of some of the things you talk about in the book, Doc. Like, I even look at this, and granted, we're talking about it from a woman's perspective, but like, Autumn's being barraged by questions now. It's like, what are you
And that always happens to me
What's
because
wrong
I
with
feel
you?
like, you know, the way I look at life, I think is a lot different than what maybe a lot of, how a lot of people look at life, but it's especially different for men because I am an extremely empathetic person, loving, caring, but like all these, a lot of the softy, squishy things. I want someone who isn't just like me, but gets it and understands it and appreciates it. And so just
Are you?
we
So
need
my
to be on the same page. We gotta be on the same page. It doesn't have to be the same exact thing. Everyone's gonna have disagreements about different perspectives, but the research is out there. It's best to marry someone who is kind of similar.
So why not be in the same book and not on the same page?
Because what if I'm on page 150 and he's on page 2 and he reads real slow?
So that means that
if I was 22, that might be okay, but I'm 41. I don't got time for all that.
Look, I hear you, and look, I get it. And it's I haven't been single in 15 years, so I can relate. But it was a long time
That's what I mean. Like 30-year-old Autumn might have been like, okay, yeah, we can work on that.
Online.
41-year-old Autumn, I don't have time for you to be growing up in certain areas. Like you kind of already got to be there or in the ballpark.
I guess that's my only contention. Then is if you're so so stuck into what it is, your specifics. What I found as a man is that men are specific until they find a woman that they're willing to change for. And if you're unwilling,
agreed.
I said something right there. And I think that more women need to hear that. Men will be stuck who they are until they find the woman that they need to change for. So if you're stuck in your belief of he has to do this, he cannot be homophobe. But if he meets you and you explain it to him, listen, babe, this is wrong because X. Maybe you can broaden his horizons, and he would be willing to accept that because he wants you.
I agree. That would have to happen before we get married. That's what I'm saying.
The chauvinist and sexist in the history of the world. That was me. And then my wife. And my wife said to me, she said, Walter, just change the word woman for black.
Yeah. That's always the key.
And I said,
the word gay for black.
And it changed for me. Disadvantage or but nobody else could have ever said that to me.
Yeah.
Not my mom, not my grandma, no one. Only her. And once she said it to me and I understood it, I received it.
And that is how you know that you two are a fit.
And that's what I'm saying to you.
And that's why you're together. But I haven't found a person who is that fit. I haven't found a person.
I'm gonna take it the other way. If he hasn't found you, have you made yourself available?
Yeah. I have, and I do.
With the borders, though, right? With the you can't be this, you can't be that.
Because I'm friends and I communicate with and I interact with all types of men. Like I'm the woman who, when I was a girl, I was always a girl with a bunch of boys. I'm always hanging out with a bunch of dudes. All my younger cousins, for the most part, for years, were just all boys. So I'm around men all the time. I'm communicating with men all the time. I'm socializing and hanging out with men all the time. So, if I see in a person that this guy seems like someone that listens and is willing to hear something out and say, oh, I never thought about it that way, and is willing to change his mind. But a lot of people can be stubborn in their ways.
Like not taking a homophobe.
we are at.
Yeah, because that's different.
I'm just digging in on him. I'm just.
Someone would be, oh my gosh, I don't. So to me, an unrealistic thing would be like, oh my gosh, I don't date guys that are less than 6 feet.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with someone less than 6 feet. It just, I mean, that's height. That's not.
My wife is 5'11".
5'11" and 3'8".
No, I'm just saying. But for me, like that is something that is, you know, in my mind, trivial. But how you look at another human life and how you feel about other human beings and how you treat other human beings is a really important thing to me, because I live my life as someone who I treat people well.
And then
I want that to be that kind of energy in my home, which is why any sort of like, oh, I don't like this group or I don't approve of blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, we got to talk about that, and we're going to have to get you to soften up if you're going to be.
And then using your example, Walter, when Doc Sellers put you on that tip, you were mid to late 20s, right? There's
about 34, 35.
This he's still younger.
I've known her for that long.
Oh, okay. All right. So you guys got you deep into it.
Yeah.
We're at an hour and a half. I want Doc to carry us out, but I'm in another listserv, and Autumn, I'm not even sure. I'm not sure if you're looking for a particular type of man gender-wise, but I'm moving in as someone who's moving to California. I was told in another listserv, it's now time for you to wife a young Latina and have a baby. So that might be the route that I just go.
If that's what you're looking for,
I don't know what I'm looking for.
If that's what you're open
I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm on a listserv with about 15 dudes, and they were like, "That's the blueprint." And so
Quasi,
the blueprint.
Quasi.
Oh, the blueprint. They got a blueprint. These are dudes who are, you know, 2 divorces deep, or now.
These are the types of dudes that are prevalent and out there.
They've all been what? 1 to 2 divorces.
They're 1-2 divorces deep, and now they're all very happy. They're all very happy with their younger
marital advice from people who failed at it twice.
Well, I'll just say this.
I don't even know if it was marital advice. It was literally like,
you might have to go younger.
Should have been out here 20 years ago, but that's neither here nor there.
He has to go younger.
I might have to go younger.
Dr. Morse. I noticed the younger men seem to like me. I don't know why. So I've had to open up myself.
Listen. My stepmother is a year younger than me.
Wow.
His range is very wide.
Your stepmother's a year younger than you.
My stepmother is a year younger than me.
Quasi loves women.
Pop gets it.
Quasi loves women.
I do.
Shapes, sizes, colors, height. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't really matter. I just have to connect.
I have no type. That was it. I had no type, but you know.
Yeah.
So maybe that's where I'm headed. A nice old.
I had type but we're not each other's really.
What'd you say?
I said Jamie and I both had a type, and we're not. Jamie and I had a type, and we're not each other's
type. You guys just celebrated what?
Not really.
12, 13 anniversary.
12 years. 12 years.
Congratulations.
3 beautiful daughters.
Aww.
Like I said, Jamie's the MVP.
Married, 15 together.
Jamie's the MVP. It's him and 4 women just trying to make it happen. He's the real MVP.
Wait till they 14, 13.
Oh gosh, that's what I'm saying. I would be.
I'm sending them to your house, Uncle Walter.
And I told you what's gonna happen. You send them to my house, they're gonna have jobs.
Listen,
I want you to be clear. Baseboards, windows, all of that. All of it.
Are you paying a living wage, sir?
That was my life as a child. My mom started me out with very young.
Doc, you want to take us out as we've gone 5 minutes over? I was talking all about the time, and now we're 5 minutes over. You want to take us out on the book, plug anything that you're doing? It'll be in the write-up anyway. Your media kit's fantastic, so that'll be part of the write-up. But anything you want to take us out on?
Well, I'm going to take us out on this. Everyone's journey is different. And the thing that brought me to my senses about the reservation that I had about my now husband. I was driving in a car with my sister, and she said, "Jasmine, do you want a man or not?" So she basically told me to kind of let down my guard. This man is a good man. Do you want him or not? And obviously I did. So I just want to tell the ladies out there who are not married, who would like to be married, everything isn't a deal breaker. You can work through the challenges and work through your differences and come together and make a great life together. This book, Surviving Singleness, is not a relationship, how-to book, but rather it's my journey. And I hope that the stories and essays included, people can glean something from it. I also have a journal. Hey. It's just if you like guided journals, it's a guided journal for thriving in singleness. Lots of open space, free write space, and devotionals and different things that you can use, affirmations and exercises to help you, kind of catalog your journey as a single woman. So wherever you are, you find yourself in singleness. For example, if you like, I'm good, I'm single, I'm good, I don't need no man, I don't need nobody, you can still open this journal up and heal. You can still open this journal up and kind of express yourself in ways that make you feel great inside and do that self-care. I do have a few things coming up. People can follow me at Dr. Jasmine Leigh Morse on all platforms. And I have a writing course coming up for aspiring authors who are looking to write, starting that in spring 22. For those who are interested, also doing some coaching right now for just if you are a business owner, you want to do strategic communications, or if you are a student and you want to enhance your academic writing, you're interested in speech writing, all those things, anything to do with writing, I can help you with, because I've literally almost done it all in the last 20 years. And I'm just happy to be a part of this conversation tonight, and just looking forward to more like this next year.
We can't thank you enough, Doc. You've enlightened us. You've guided us. You've hopefully inspired us. You've inspired me. I was thinking I'm empathetic, but I'm going to try to be even more empathetic. That's where I'm going to be. Dr. Jasmine Leigh Morse, the book, Heart, Rhythms, Essays, Surviving Singleness with Faith, Know-How, and Grit. There it is again.
Yeah.
Amazon, Doc.
Amazon, everywhere books are sold. Ebooks, ebook only $2.99. You can download it tonight and get it right to your Kindle, your iPad, whatever you got going on.
I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
And check out my journal. It's in hardback and paperback. Anywhere books are sold.
It's solid. You've made the right choice coming on the podcast. People will definitely download your book. Chip still talks about that, Sean. He's like, book sales spiked after us. I was like, yeah. Like it worked. Walter, you got it. And I know a couple of my friends who got it afterwards also. So buy Dr. Morse's book. Guys, you won't regret it. Shawnee, how was your first? How was you? Yeah. I mean, I have my copy.
You can give it away. Holidays are coming up. It's
right.
just not share it. Share the wealth.
Walter, it might give you some insight
Great
on what
stocking
you can go through that you didn't know about before.
Exactly.
Yes.
When I'm done with this Girls Gone Strong class, I commit to you that I will read your book. But right now,
it's a really quick read. It's a really good read. It's really quick. I was able to do it in the matter
Walter's
of
all female clients. I'm sure we tell him all the things that he didn't know about women.
Right now, I'm at like chapter 17. Yeah. I hear it all.
Shawnee, how was your first episode as a co-host? What did you think?
It was good.
It was good?
It was good. You only got the appearance of one niece, not the other two. See? You're winning.
Hey, the nieces are more than welcome.
That's it. I love seeing them.
All right, for Walter, Autumn, Dr. Morse, Shawnee, Mia, who I guess dipped off, like I said, Amazon, they don't play any games.
Her Wi-Fi dropped.
Nah, they don't play any games. You gotta make that happen. This was the Brothers and Sisters podcast for September 28, 2001. We'll be on next week. I will be in California podcasting. So the backdrop.
Me too.
Yeah, where are you gonna be?
I'm gonna be in Los Angeles. I think I'm leaving Tuesday. So
oh, you're
would-
leaving Tuesday. I'm leaving to go back Tuesday.
Oh no,
So-
like I'm heading to Los Angeles next Tuesday.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. I'm leaving Los Angeles next
Oh,
Tuesday.
okay.
Yeah. But all right. And for that, we'll sign off.
All right.
Good night.